Welcome to the Learn to Sew Academy channel. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you.
Hello, today we're bringing you another DIY sewing tutorial. This is another quick and simple style that we're going to be making, and that is what you see in the pictures. So right now what I'm doing here is I'm folding this fabric into two. These are stretch fabric, so I'm considering the length of the stretchy dimension of it, which is this way. So what we're doing is we first fold this into two. There's not going to be a zipper in this project. So we first fold into two, and then when we fold into two, we want to make sure that what we have is enough for the bust. The bust is the biggest part in this particular top that we're making. And we need a bust of 20. Right here I have almost 36 all across, so that is enough. I have 18 inches this way, so I have more than enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm folding this into four like this. Meanwhile, when I first folded this into two, I made sure that the length is enough for the blouse length that I need. For this project, I need a blouse length of 20 inches plus my allowance. This is 21 inches. So I have enough length for my blouse. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm folding them now into four layers. If you count it, you are going to have 4 layers of fabric. That's what I've done right here. And again, the bust I need is 20 inches. Now, because we always measure bust all around the body, we take a circumference. Because of that, we're going to divide this into 4, whatever the bust is. So my 20 inches divided by 4 is going to give me 5 inches. So now that I've folded this into 4, I need 5 inches here. And like we can see, we have way more than 5 inches. So not to waste my fabric, I'm going to re-fold this so that I just have enough that I need. So I need 5 inches, and I'm going to do an extra 1 inch, which will give me 6 inches. I still have way more than I need. This is a blouse for a little girl, but you can do this too for an adult. So just follow along just to know the process of doing this blouse. I have 6.5. I'm just going to keep it at that. So what I'm going to do is I want to cut this off first, so I work with less fabric. Now that I have this, what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to cut this into two at the shoulder area. That is because I want the front neckline to be different from the back neckline. So that's why I'm going to cut this into two. And I'm just going to quickly mark my wrong side. So what I'm going to be doing now is to do the neckline. And I'm just going to fold it again that way. And then I'm going to do my neckline width first. For these, I'm going to be doing 3 inches from the middle. So what I'm just going to do here is just to put a little mark here. Now I can separate this front and back. And I fold this back into two. This is going to be my back. For the back, I want to do just 1.5 inches for that back. And I'm going to curve it from where I have my mark here. I'm going to connect it right there. For the front, What I'm gonna do with the front is I'm gonna make the neckline depth much more than what I have for the back. So for the front, I'm gonna do a 4. And remember that I'm going to be hemming the edges, so it's gonna be bigger by the time I hem all of the edges. But right now I'm gonna make it a 4 because I don't want it to be too big too at the same time. And we cut that out. Now I'm placing both together again. And right from where I have my middle point, I'm gonna measure out my 6 inches. This 6 inches is my bust divided by 4, which is 20 divided by 4, which gives me 5 plus 1 inch allowance. So this is where this mark is. You know, when we did the shoulder, we went from one end of the shoulder to the other end of the shoulder. So we're going to divide the shoulder by 2. And what we have here for my shoulder is 12. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that by 2. So I'm looking for 6 inches right here. And I'm going to put an extra half an inch for my hemming. By the time I do this, the shoulder will be just a tiny little bit less than the 6 which I want. You can always do your shoulder first before you cut your neckline, which if you're a total beginner, that is what I advise, that you measure your shoulder first. Like you will see in all my other videos, I will do the shoulder first. But over here, I've cut my neckline first. And what I'm going to do for the shoulder is you just start from where your neckline is. And this mat is helping me to gauge that. My neckline is right from here. So I measure my 6.5. And this is what I have. And from that top up here, I have 7.5. From the shoulder area to my bust line, I have 7.5, and I've measured what my bust is. So now I connect from here to that my shoulder area. And what you can do with this kind of stretch fabric, you can either decide to shape it out if you want, in which case you'll need to know the waistline, and you also need to add a little bit of ease so that it's easy. Even though it's stretched, you still need a little ease sometimes. So what I'm going to do now in this case is I'm just going to slant it a little to the end, so it's going to be a very slight A shape. That's what I want to do in this case. So what we are going to do now is just to cut what we have here. And I want to mention that you never try to force your measurements. You just go by what your measurements are. Because like in this case, you will see that my bust and the shoulder are very close together, but you don't force it to go by your measurements. So over here, I'm going to put a shoulder slope. I'm going to slant that just a little. You can do anywhere between 1 inch to half an inch for the slope. I'm doing half an inch here. And we just cut that out. And once we do that, we are done with the main body of the dress. Now for my armhole, I'm measuring what I have here, and I have around 7 both ways. So I'm going to now cut my sleeves. So for the sleeve, I'm just going to use all of this fabric that I have left here. So what I'm going to do is I've first folded it this way, and then I'm folding this way again. So this right here is going to be my sleeve round. And the sleeve round I'm going to be using is 5 inches. And I'm going to put 1 extra inch for allowance. What I need here for my armhole, based on what I cut on the main body of the dress, is 7 inches. So I'm just gonna mark the 7 inches right there, and we connect this to the tip of the sleeve. Please refer to my video on how to cut a sleeve for a more detailed explanation. I also have another video on how to make a cold shoulder blouse. You may want to try that, check that out. So now I'm going to connect that here. Now this is going to be a cold shoulder, so what I'm going to do is I need to cut off some part of this fabric, and what I'm going to be doing is I just need a little bit of a shoulder showing, so I'm going to be actually cutting off about 3 inches from here. And then from that 3 inches I connect it here. And again, refer to my other video. It gives a more detailed explanation of the different things you can do with your cold shoulder. As I've done this way, you can also just do a straight line if you desire, depending on the look you are aiming for. So this is what I have here, and I'm just going to follow these markings and cut this sleeve. So this technically completes my cold shoulder sleeve that I'm making, and this is what I'm going to be having when I'm done with this. It's gonna look somewhat like this when folded. So that completes it. So the next stage is for us to start to stitch this together. And what we're going to be doing in this case is we're going to bring our right side facing the right side. And the first step is we're going to join the shoulder area on both sides. So I'm going to join the shoulder area here, and I'm going to join the shoulder area here. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to open this up and hem the neckline just by turning this in twice. I will hem all of the neckline. Now I have hemmed the round neck, the neckline. So the next thing to do is to take the sleeve, and we want to come to where we have the upper part of the sleeve, and we're going to turn this in twice, and we'll sew this with a straight stitch all across, just like I've done right here. So once this is done, you now want to come to your armhole area. So you spread the armhole area, and depending on how much you want to leave, what you're going to be doing next is you're first going to measure how much you're leaving from your shoulder to where you want to start to join your sleeve. If you're doing 2 inches, you leave 2 inches. If you're doing 3 inches, you leave whatever amount that you want to leave from the edge. Once you know what that is, you mark it with your marker, and then you want to go back to your sewing machine, and you just want to turn that in 2 times, or you can also turn it in once and use a zigzag stitch, and you just want to sew it all the way to that amount of inches that you desire to leave, whether it's 2 or 3 inches. Now that I've hemmed the first part of the armhole, I'm doing 3 inches from the shoulder joint. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take, like I said, right side facing right side. You want to match it with this, the remaining part of your armhole. For this particular top, because the shoulder and the bust is so close together, so that is why you're not seeing a sharp curve for the armhole. But like I said, you don't force anything, you go by the measurements that you took. So that's on the first side. So I'm going to do likewise on the next side too. So again, right side to right side. I'm going to start from where my sewing ended, and I'm just going to pin that in. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just going to go to the sewing machine and just stitch this together and stitch the other end together, the other side together too. So by the time it's stitched together, this is what it's going to be looking like. Okay, first I'm going to come to my sleeve and I'm going to turn it in twice for the sleeve all across like so. I'm going to sew this all across like that. And after I sew this, I'm now going to fold it right side facing right side, and starting from my sleeve round area, I'm going to now start to sew it from the sleeve round area, all pass through the armhole area, all the way to the end of the top. And when you do this, you also may want to put into consideration your seam allowance. So I just go all the way from here all the way down using a straight stitch. Now, depending on the allowances you put, if you hadn't used too much of an allowance, you can just go ahead and do like overlocking stitch or a zigzag stitch, and use that to all the edges from the sleeve all the way to the bottom. If you have not really left some seam allowance, if you have left very little seam allowance, like 1/4 of an inch. So once I finish this side, I'm going to come to the other side and I'm going to do exactly the same thing I've done here with the sleeve. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And once all of this is done, the last thing to do will be to hem the bottom of the blouse. So the blouse is more or less completed. This is what it's looking like. That's what we have right here. And the final stage, like I said, will be to turn the bottom of the top, to turn it in twice, and to use a straight stitch to sew it all across. And again, because this is a stretch fabric, you can also use a zigzag. You can turn it in once and just use a zigzag machine to sew it all across. But right here, I'm turning it in twice and I'm going to sew it all around like that. And that will complete this beautiful, very simple top. You can make this in 30 minutes or less. It's very easy to make. So I hope you have enjoyed this video tutorial. If you have, please remember to leave us a thumbs up on our video, and please remember to share this video. And if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, don't forget to click the subscription button and also click the bell icon so you will know when we load new videos. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you all. See you in my next video.